puzzles are bullshit. But I'm committed. I'm going to get this one done. And when I do,
we're going
to crack a bottle of champagne.
You got to frame it.
I told Sarah I was going to frame it. And she said, why would you do that? Just throw it back in the box. I was like, it's 500 fucking pieces. I've got 2 cocktails made, ready to go.
Oh, good.
You fancy little Brit.
Yeah, martini night tonight.
I got myself my Thanos mug as per usual with Moon Haze beer in memory of Moon Knight.
Oh,
cheers.
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, boom, baby.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. And I've been so slow this week. I told you guys I'm working from the office now. I finally got back to the studio.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to do a lot of research for this episode of Punch Drunk Nerd. So I'm going to need your help.
We'll be great.
We're so ready.
Amazing.
This is our most prepared podcast, I think.
Oh, well, let's see what the audience thinks. Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again for another episode 6. We are going in strong. You know, we've celebrated our month anniversary already, and I'm hoping for second month anniversary, right? Is that how you say it? Anyway, let's get back to so today, I got 3 of my friends. It's me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me is
Miguel Sanchez. Hey.
Oh.
You knew.
Ed is excited to be here. All right, folks.
He was the first one on today, so.
He was the first one on. Yeah.
You paused a second too long, my friend.
I did pause
my bad.
Long, but let's start this over. We're taking it back to 1. That's what we say in the business, ladies and gentlemen. Take it back to 1. Okay? Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd. It's me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me is
Miguel Sanchez.
There we go.
And Edward Ball.
That's
right.
how it's done. And so we're going to talk about, today we're here, if you're here, we're going to talk about news of the week, we're going to talk about Moon Knight, and then we're going to talk about everything everywhere all at once, and then we're going to talk about what we've been into. It's a lot of stuff, but we're going to try to speed right through it like The Flash. Speaking of The Flash, he's fired from Warner Brothers Studios. That's at least from, what we've heard, that he's been let go of Warner Brothers. And, we're just going to talk about our thoughts real quick. Thoughts?
That's...
man...
Go ahead,
Miguel. Sorry.
No. You're fired up.
No,
I want to hear from Ed.
Ed's amped. We let him go.
Let's go.
Let him
go.
This is a horse ready to gallop.
It just kind of I think like on our first podcast we discussed just how the DCEU is going down the drain.
Yeah.
It started in the drain and never really climbed out, and it just feels like when they were hoping that The Flash was going to be the next big thing, like really gunning for this next Flash movie, and bam, the star is wreaking havoc or whatever. It's just, I don't know, it's just like very symbolic of the whole franchise. And on top of that, it's very symbolic of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which is already also just like...
circling the drain,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that was supposed to be 5 movies. The third one's about to come out, and people are already uninterested. And
I haven't seen the last 2, and I'm exhausted. You know what I mean?
So the only 2?
No, there's...
Exactly.
No, the last 2, yeah, right? Because Dumbledore comes out, and then the other one, Tweedledinks. And the Secret
that one.
Chambers.
Yep. Yeah, Fantastic Beast and Tweedledinks. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people this week were already talking about how Fantastic Beasts just might not make it to the next 2 movies.
No, Warner Brothers, I think, said that they're counting on this third one to decide whether or not they're going to do more.
Rightfully...
Yeah.
Yeah, rightfully so. It just hasn't been even remotely consistent or interesting, to be honest. The magic is gone from the wizarding world, as it were. There's so much headlining controversies surrounding it right now. It's killing it. And people basically forgot that this franchise was even happening when this one came out. So I don't know. I don't think the hopes are high right now.
I remember when Ezra Miller, he got cast as the Flash. I might have these backwards, but it's one or the other. I'm pretty sure it was when he got cast as the Flash, he also wanted to do Fantastic Beasts, and so he wrote like a letter to Warner Brothers and was like, I don't know what he said, but it's probably something like, "I'm going to be really good. Please put me in your movies." You know what I mean? And it's just like for him to fight for those roles so heavily in the beginning, and then to have them taken away from him simply because he just can't like keep his shit together off screen. You know, you're just like, damn, I can't believe. Yeah, and someone. I read somewhere that they were like, they cast the Flash like 8 years ago. You know what I mean? When they were first like, Ezra Miller is going to be the Flash, and then you're like, oh, they're eventually going to do a Flash movie, and it's like that movie still isn't out. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was after like Perks of Being a Wallflower, and We Need to Talk About Kevin, when like he was really starting to get noticed.
I read an interview this week where someone was saying they gave an interview with him or whatever, and when they sat down in his house, he was like, "Do you want to see the bow and arrow from We Should Talk About Kevin?"
Oh my god.
the one where he kills people at the end of the movie with all of the bow and arrow. He's like, I have it. Do you want to see it? And he said most people say no. And it's just like, yeah, you're a little eccentric, dude. You need to calm down.
Yeah, that would be like incredibly eerie.
Yeah,
like Thor's hammer. Show me. The bow that killed a bunch of children in a high school. No thanks.
No thanks. I am, as everyone is, curious, just like, okay, the Flash movie was already supposed to reset everything.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't have an ending for that movie where Ezra Miller's not the Flash anymore. So... Or maybe now with reshoots, they're going to be like...
Exactly.
But I don't know, man. He's just really fumbled that bag. And kind of, you know, just ruined his career for the time being. It's like, who knows if he's going to be able to find something else to land in.
Yeah, because any future roles, and it's the same for a lot of these celebrities, it's like that's the first thing people are going to think of.
Yeah,
from now on.
I like with Will Smith and his Oscar. Okay, now I'm going to think about him slapping Chris Rock every time I see him.
That's and people will. This is the age of the internet. People will not let you forget that shit.
No, they will not. Even when you feel like you've atoned for your sin, the internet will be like, no, fuck you. Okay, all right.
Back to hell.
Yeah, all right, where you belong. I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, the movie's still going to come out, right?
Oh yeah, it's still going to come out. I think they've stopped from coming for future projects. Do you know what I mean? So they'll have to finish this project and then continue.
The fact that this one took how many years to come to fruition?
So many directors.
Exactly. It's hard to say whether a second one would ever have happened anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's just a matter of time. But go for it.
I'm also thinking we talked about the Peacemaker finale a couple weeks back. And...
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? He and Jason Momoa, they did a Justice League cameo, and Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa were the only two actual Justice League actors on set. Right. Everything else being... Shadow. So it's like even just a few weeks back, or not, I guess not a few weeks because they filmed it several months ago, but it was like they were still like, okay, yeah, Ezra Miller's our Flash. He can still be in these little bits. And it's just like, we've banked so much on him, and now it's like...
what does that mean now? Jason Momoa is like the face of... Well, and also...
And Gal Gadot. I mean, until she does something
seriously.
wrong.
Jason Momoa is going to be taking the momentum just because the new Aquaman is going to be coming, and I think Gal Gadot's 1984 movie didn't do so well, so I think people are like, well, I'm going to look towards Aquaman, so they can kind of use Jason Momoa as their kind of like leading man. So now we have Aquaman leading,
and
for this DCEU.
For Jason Momoa, so long as like off screen he doesn't really fuck it up. Even if his movie's bad, and the Justice League and the CEU goes away, like Jason Momoa will still have work. You know what I mean? He's still very likable. People want to see him.
I think there's going to be a trilogy for Aquaman for sure, just because if James Wan's at the helm, like a lot of people like, James Wan's what am I trying to say? Like his style or his feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially for this franchise, it seems very fitting. But they might as well just call it Aquaman Last Man Standing at this point.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got him, Ed. You stuck a real stinger here.
Thank you,
Ed. We got, so this is more. I think Ed, you dropped this in here, but with the release of Morbius, and our news has been filled with tales of Jared Leto acting out again as Morbius. They had to help him go to the bathroom because he was walking like a handicapped person, like his character in the movie. He's like, "Come on, Jared, we're behind in the schedule. Can you please?" It's like, "I have to go to the bathroom." So they gave him a wheelchair so they could expedite the process.
That is insane.
It is insane, and I thought that was fitting that we talk about method acting. I think, Ed, did you drop this in our little doc here?
I did. So I guess we're talking about Ezra Miller, who is in the Fantastic Beast franchise. Mads Mikkelsen, who has taken over from Johnny Depp in the role of Grindelwald in the franchise. He, I guess he had an interview, I want to say, with GQ, where he... I don't know how it came about, but basically he spoke on method acting and how he thinks it's like quote-unquote bullshit. And then more recently, or not more recently, but recently too, the actor Will Poulter. You guys are familiar with him, the English actor?
Yeah, the eyebrows.
He's going to be in the new Guardians movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't really like speaking out, but he commented on on method acting too, and just how it's fine to get into a role, but also so long as it doesn't like make life miserable for everybody else on set, basically. So I put it on there because I thought it was interesting comment, and I mean it always comes up when these kind of movies come out where like with Morbius, which why even go method on that movie, you know what I mean? But just and it comes up so many times and so many people take it, I mean it works obviously, like look at Daniel Day-Lewis, but it's just like, to what extent are you acting, and to what extent are you just going out of your way to be an arsehole?
And I think Daniel Day-Lewis is really the only positive example of, it working. Every time method acting comes up, he's the first name that gets mentioned. And I mean, he has how many Oscars because he does that with every role. So
3.
There's people that are like coming up after him that are like, oh, I'll just emulate what he's doing and I'll have the same success. And it's like, okay, well, Daniel Day-Lewis is a much better actor than you. And that's just the end of it.
Genuine.
But I mean, I'm thinking about like as far back as like Shia LaBeouf, when Shia LaBeouf was going through his phase, like after Transformers, you know what I mean? And Fury, Jared Leto in the Suicide Squad movie, and now this one, and it's just like, I don't know, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
seems like a pain in the ass.
Especially again, if you're just if it affects the people that you're working with, man. I mean, I'm sure working on a movie set is very trying, and the last thing you need is the film's lead just acting like a jackass. Like, I'm sorry, like the Jared Leto Morbius thing is just like the perfect example of just going a step too far. It's just like, just go take a piss, man. Hurry the fuck up and just go do that.
Be an adult.
Don't make people wait for you or help you. You're a perfectly capable human being. You know that. Nobody's taking this seriously at this point. Like, it's a joke. So, I mean, it is, like, if the results are there, great, but, like, if it's just some, I don't know, egotistical run to, I don't know, flex your acting muscles.
I can't believe
just a little ridiculous.
With how much shit he got for the Suicide Squad, the original Suicide Squad movie, that he would continue this method acting in other films. It's like, I remember that was like the biggest thing. The biggest takeaway from Suicide Squad was like, yeah, his Joker's bad, and also he was an asshole the entire time. And it's just, it's ego, like you said. Like, it's ego. He doesn't. It's narcissism.
Absolutely, yes. It's and it just seems like completely I don't know, just completely unself-aware, lack of self-awareness. It's just like what you're doing is affecting so many other people on so many levels, and I mean, there's, like you were saying, Miguel, there's no guarantee for success.
That's going to work, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope he stops. These last few times he's messing with Joker and Morbius, like, it's not working. Do you know what I mean? Like, just don't do it anymore. But like,
write that down. I just hope he stops. I think that's like everyone's take on Jared Leto right now. Just please stop.
There's this funny thing I'm reading from The Guardian. It was the website, theguardian.com, about method acting. I've always heard this story, but I think they say it really well here about Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman has long been known as one of method actors' most earnest exponents, whatever. A showbiz
Talking
story.
to Laurence Olivier. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. A showbiz story involves his collaboration with Lawrence on the 1976 film Marathon Man. Upon being asked by his co-star how a previous scene had gone, one in which Hoffman's character has supposedly stayed up for 3 days, Hoffman admitted that he too had not slept for 72 hours to achieve emotional verisimilitude. "My dear boy," replied Oliver smoothly, "why don't you just try acting?" And I think that beautifully says it. Daniel Day-Lewis is an exception, and I think he's a really good actor, and I think he understands what this tool is, and he just is able to work on it. But for the most part, it's like, you're right, be considerate, don't waste everybody's time, and just try acting instead of just being, the character. Because at the end of the day, it is still a job. You know what I mean? There are still things you have to go do it again. You have to, frame it a certain way, or do your reaction this way, or can you move your face this way? Like it's framing you're shaping something. You know what I mean? And sometimes movies, they aren't reality. It isn't just it's not a documentary. It's highlighting things to an extreme to send a message about something. And so, act. Don't.
Yeah, I mean, and to Mads Mikkelsen's credit, I mean, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he's not known for his method acting. He doesn't need it. I mean, it shows really, I guess it just comes down to the quality of the actor, I guess. Go method all day, but it just shows on screen at the end of the day, really.
Yeah, don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Like you said, just don't be
and
a dick about it.
Notice it's mostly men who get called out.
Lady Gaga,
rightfully so.
Lady Gaga for House of Gucci also kind of method, what did she say? She had to have a psychiatrist on set because she was just you know what I mean? Just going so hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not talking shit about Lady Gaga, but
No.
No. But
an example.
I guess I mean the most of the time it's usually just an actor that we hear about who's just gone overboard with the whole thing.
Now I have a question. I'm curious to know your opinion, and I think there's a documentary about it. But what are your thoughts on Heath Ledger and his performance with the Joker? Because you were talking about a therapist that needed to be on set, and then my mind went, mad doing roles, and I think of Heath Ledger.
I wasn't bringing that up to talk shit about Heath Ledger. Okay,
I wasn't either, but it just,
he did
having
that
a
thing.
Consultant. Yeah.
I guess I just mean and as far as my example with Daniel Day-Lewis earlier, it's if there's a proven track record or the final product of after the fact is so strong, and it can show that it worked, then I'm all thumbs up. You know what I mean? But whatever you have to do to make yourself act, if it's above and beyond and just absolutely ruining the vibe, you got to quit.
Yeah, purely when it's affecting other people. If you don't break character on set, great. I going in and out of accents or voices,
like Christian Bale,
is incredibly hard. So you want to kind of keep up that energy, and I'm sure being on set is a tedious thing, so you have to kind of keep up that level of intensity. But it's when it starts affecting other people in a negative way, which is a lot of what Will Poulter was pointing out, then that's when it's too much.
As we're leaving the Oscars and looking forward to the new year, we were listening to the DGA podcast, Ed, that you shared me, and they're mentioning Jane Campion about Power of the Dog, how one of the actors who had the most difficult time was Benedict Cumberbatch, just because he is such a nice guy. You know what I mean? He's always helpful. Hello, what would you need? Do you need some help? You could see him just being earnest and helping people. And she said, "Stop it. You have to say no at least 5 times. If somebody offers you something, say fuck off. eat alone, like be a dick on set. I need you to like hone in on that. And I think there's a difference there where he's like trying to hone in on the character a little bit instead of being a complete asshole, wasting everybody's time and not taking into account the reality of people's lives. I think there's a practice in like, being that person, but I don't know.
Yeah, the right situation will call for it, and the right actor will do it well, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. These are some great thoughts.
Oh, another one. Oh, yeah. Another one was Jim Carrey, who recently retired.
No, not yet.
They made a document. Well, you're right, but they made a documentary about how much of a dick and like unnecessarily intense character he was on Man on the Moon. Because you remember that was like a recent documentary on Netflix, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He was playing Andy Kaufman, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never saw the documentary.
He didn't break character on that one. Yeah. Neither did I, but that was just one that sprung to mind.
But also notice Jim Carrey. He didn't do that afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, or at least
It wasn't a trend.
Exactly. He tried to. I feel like every actor, when they're trying to be serious, like I said, they just want to emulate someone who has successfully been a serious actor. Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the greatest, and that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm going in circles with my thoughts too, but it's just like, shut up already. It's so stupid.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Jim Carrey because that is our next topic. He was saying that Sonic 2 could be his last movie. But that he might come back if he did Ace Ventura, directed by Christopher Nolan, which obviously is a joke. But
no, he was serious, the most serious he's ever been. No, I just can't believe.
I don't know what I'll do.
I can't believe, one, that the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, which when the first movie came out, the first trailer for that movie came out, everyone bitched about the way Sonic looked. Everyone said it's going to be the worst movie ever. And now the second one has come out, and people are like, it's like highly rated. You know what I mean? People can't stop talking about Sonic 2. And Jim Carrey's talking about retiring off of it. And you're just like, what world are we in that this is the last project that Jim Carrey wants to work on?
Yeah. That Sonic 2
maybe,
is his last, I mean,
maybe to pull in some more creative roles, maybe. I mean, it's not like he's had a lot of bangers lately.
And if he doesn't die in the second one, it's like, why not just retire off the third one? Go ahead and get you that last really big paycheck. Obviously, he's a staple of this franchise now. I don't know. It's just so random. I think he was just in his emotions about the Oscars. He got on the Good Morning America or whatever. And he was talking shit about the Oscars. I think he's just over Hollywood and needs a break. He needs a vacation.
Yeah, he's like, fuck Hollywood. Let's.
Yeah. It definitely seems like he's gone through a lot. He thinks a lot. He expresses his thoughts, and some of it may be a little bit odd for some people. I think he can be in his head a little bit, and I think having a break is fine. I don't think that he's gonna go. I don't think that he's gonna go away forever. If he says this is his last movie, I feel like in 10 years, even 15 years, we might get an old Jim Carrey doing something. Do you know what I mean?
It's like Quentin Tarantino. It's like Tarantino saying, I'm only going to do 10 films. And then there was like that brief season where he was like, and then I'll do a Star Trek movie. And you're like, okay, dude, you're not doing 10 films. You're going to do as many as you absolutely can before you croak.
Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis retired twice, or at least, before he actually retired. So...
Tommy Lee Jones supposedly retired too, like a couple times. And then he came back. I was like, oh, so I'm not, it's really hard for me to, it's just a hiatus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just taking a little break.
The right role will bring him back, hopefully.
Yep. I mean,
and he'll finally get that Oscar.
It's funny, we had all these weird roles for him, but then I feel like Sonic, he got to play a role that we all kind of fell in love with. With Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber.
It was like old Jim Carrey again.
Yeah. And I think it was a perfect fit for it, too. And I liked how his evolution of Doc just, like, got more and more like the video game. I wish it kind of reached, like, its final form for Sonic 3. But, it probably won't happen.
Did you see those movies, Luis?
I saw the first Sonic. I haven't seen the second one.
Oh, okay.
Whenever the movie was announced, it was, like, the first thing about the whole premise that made sense was his casting. I was just like, yeah, Jim Carrey would be great in that role.
Have you seen it, Miguel?
No, because it's Sonic the
Have you seen
Hedgehog.
it, Dad?
No, I have not. I'm sorry.
It was okay. It was the pandemic. The pandemic hit, and the movie was supposed to come out in theaters, and it didn't. And so we were stuck at home with not getting any movie content. And Sonic came out, and we thought, me and Sarah like to watch like animated stuff and like whatever. So we watched that, and it was a fun time. You know what I mean? He was Dr. Robotnik, and he didn't have his crazy mustachio in the first one. But at the end, he got
right.
like, the rings or portals that Sonic has, so he can like shing them out. And he throws Robotnik into a portal, and he goes into this weird world, and he goes crazy, and he ends up shaving his head. And so when he comes back for the second one, he has this shaved head and crazy mustache. You know what I mean? And so, because he didn't really look like the video. Yeah, the iconic character.
Yeah.
So I was hoping like, maybe because I haven't seen the second one, but I was hoping at the end of the second one, that something happens that, it'll push him forward to his final form where he's like a duplicate looking form of what we know of Dr. Robotnik. But I don't think that's the case, as I've asked my friends who've seen Sonic 2. But we also want to, it was also a sad time this week. Gilbert Gottfried passed away. I first knew him as the voice of Iago in Aladdin with his iconic voice, and then I saw him again in Look Who's Talking. I think the movie Look Who's Talking 2. He was a daycare teacher who was like taking care of the kids, and he was playing with John Travolta and
man,
wow.
Chris,
I need to go back and watch those movies. I don't remember him in that.
I loved those two movies.
Yeah, I grew up watching those all the time, but it's been like 20 odd years since I've watched them. That's crazy.
And I know he's been in obviously better movies than ones that I've listed, but those are the ones that impacted me. And I know there's a documentary about him too. Yeah, and I know there's a documentary about him that I want to see. I want to see to get to know him a little more. But what were your thoughts on?
I'm not sure if I saw that documentary, but I definitely do remember a camera crew following Gilbert Gottfried around for something, and like seeing his apartment. He just is like a New York actor kind of deal, like him and his wife and their kids or whatever. And it's like a small New York apartment. He went to like the dollar store to buy groceries. You know what I mean? Like he just seemed like a really frugal old man. You know what I mean? But it's like also Gilbert Gottfried, like this comedic legend. And you're like, okay, all right, humble. It kind of blew my mind. I just couldn't believe he shared one of the things. I might have sent it to you guys. But like one of the things that Twitter was talking about was just 3 months ago, Louis Anderson died. And before Louis Anderson died, Bob Saget died. And when Louis Anderson died, Gilbert Gottfried shared a photo of the three of them, Bob Saget, Louis Anderson, and Gilbert Gottfried all together. He said, this is now a sad photo for me because they're both gone now. And within 3 months, he was gone too. And it's just like, that's incredible how short a time life is, We just lost Norm Macdonald last year too.
I was about to say,
I was tore up
before
about that
Bob
one.
Saget.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was very sad. I mean, I haven't seen much more beyond the movies that we've talked about, and then the occasional like Comedy Central roast.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's kind of. I mean, a lot of his stuff stands out purely because of the voice, obviously. But it's very sad, and kind of a similar trend that seems to be happening is like I had no idea he was even
sick,
ill. Yeah.
I mean,
and only 67, right, when he passed.
Yeah. Oh, I assume.
Very sad.
I'm gonna say yeah. I don't know.
It was he's like late 60s, but still.
Someone on Twitter was just like, with all these comedians that we just listed that have died, it's really like a generational group of comedians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a whole generation was kind of wiped out. And it's incredible that these people, and kind of so young, all of them. I mean, Bob Saget was pretty young. Norm Macdonald was pretty young. I don't know how old Louis Anderson was, but yeah, it's, rest in peace. Iago, he was also the duck in Affleck commercials for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Naturally,
yeah.
Those are the movies I know him from, is Aladdin and Affleck.
The commercials, that's the movies I know him from. Check out his documentary. We lost a legend, and I don't know. He's a good boy.
Sad.
Sad.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
We're gonna.
Hey, wait, I'm sorry. Hang on. I know we're about to move on, and I know we really should end on a sad note because it's like that was a somber moment for us. Good for us. But actually, I want to pivot upward just a little bit because
okay.
We have a loyal fan.
Make us happy.
Our loyal fan is listening right now, Sarah Meyer, and she wanted to hear us. She wanted to hear us talk about how Ben Affleck and J-Lo got back together.
Oh, fuck me.
Look, I don't know much about the subject, but I'm kind of happy that they're back together, right? I don't know. It's like they came apart, they had some times, they lived their lives, they dated different people, and you know what? Nothing ever fit. Nothing ever stick. And then now they're like, you know what? It was you all along. And now they're coming back. And, I from not knowing anything, it seems fine. It seems
if
good.
J-Lo, if she actually gets married to Ben Affleck, like that'll be a surprise because, well, I guess
Yes.
I mean, she's been engaged a lot, but
if
she did get married at least once, right? Like she was married to Mark Anthony.
But she's been engaged a boatload of times.
So many times.
Sarah was filling me in on all of this.
Yes.
And she just got off of that movie called Marry Me with Owen Wilson. I'm just like, all right, calm down for a second.
Which is a comic, by the way. Did you know?
Is it?
Are you serious?
Yes, Marry Me is a comic, yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways, sorry.
What the fuck? Yeah, so anyway, they're getting back together. Mazel tov to them. And
I mean, when that started happening, whatever, it's been like a year, I think, that they got back together.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I was just like, yeah, go get it, Ben Affleck. Like, you need the good old pick me up, and if it's J-Lo, so be it. And, it's she, after the Super Bowl and everything else.
Oh, I don't blame him.
J-Lo's like hot as hell right now.
Yeah.
So, go for it. Good for both of them.
I do wonder because I hear Jennifer Lopez is kind of a piece of shit sometimes.
But you hear that of Ben Affleck too, right?
Do.
Like,
I don't know.
No, I hear Ben Affleck is just sad.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I have only seen him. He's probably so happy that like Will Smith is so sad right now because now like Will Smith is like the sad actor meme, and Ben Affleck.
And he's with J-Lo.
Yeah. No, but I hear J-Lo.
There's a picture on the internet with him, his hand on her butt.
I know that.
On the boat.
That was the first thing I thought of when they got engaged. I said, "Yes, sir. I understand."
Yes, sir. that was the engagement right there.
He knew immediately. He said, "Jennifer Garner, who?"
I need to put a ring on this.
But no, I hear she's kind of rude to like her staff and like one of those don't look me in the eye kind of deal. And I don't know of Ben Affleck having that reputation, so I just wonder how they mesh. Is she like a total bitch to the staff, and then he's like, "Hey, here's a tip. I'm really sorry about that. She's Jennifer Lopez." Or is he also just like, or does he like feed off that energy and he's like, "Yeah, you are a piece of shit." You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, hey, good luck to them. I can't wait for the nuptials.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Good luck to them. And you know what? Anytime we get some more Brad and J-Lo news, we'll report it right here. We'll give it a little intro. That'll be our one little pop culture market. You know what I mean? We got to cover all the nerddoms in this show. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. I love you.
Sarah, please like and subscribe, and also follow us on Twitter.
And start a Twitter account and then follow us.
She'll do it.
There you go. That's what you got to do. And if you have a TikTok, go to TikTok. We've only got 2 little tiki-talkies up there. You know what I mean? Like a talkie, go to tiki-talkie. We're going to talk about Moon Knight, episode 103, The Friendly Type. And let me tell you, I missed my friend Stephen Grant from the beginning, right when that show kicked off. We went into action mode with Oscar Isaac jumping in, kicking ass. And I was like, you know what? I miss my friend Steven. And I'm glad he popped up. And also, I'm going to say this. Miguel, I think you were right. Because you called it out. Again, you are just calling everything out of Moon Knight. You were saying that there was going to be a version worse than Mark's Spectre. Did you say that? You're like, oh, there's going to be some devil character, someone wilding out. And we got to see a little bit of that when they both blacked out. And, everyone was, those 2 guys, one guy was murdered, and then the other guy was, beaten to death almost. And they're like, who is that? I don't know. And so we had, there's a third mysterious character, which absolutely, let's find that guy, let's meet him, and let the 2 Mark and Steven face off against him in some 3-way mirror match. You know what I mean? Where they're all just looking at mirrors and communicating with each other. But yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on that? Let
the 3-way physical comedy begin.
There you go.
Yes. It's the tone of this one, or rather the rhythm and the pacing, is a little different from the last two, I feel like.
Yes.
And whilst I was glad that they kind of gave a little handoff to Mark and start like seeing it through his eyes, what you were saying, Luis, like, yeah, I still wanted Steve in there. Yeah. And we still got him. He's basically Mark's conscience at this point.
Exactly.
So that was fun, but they still kind of deliver on the back and forth banter, the situational comedy, the physical comedy, that opening knife fight in Cairo. Still had some like hints of humor. Like, you got these guys who are just getting all extravagant with their knives. Yeah. Like the guy licking his giant blade, and before he could even finish licking it, Mark is just like, fuck this, and starts punching the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Great, like, good. Like, I'm so glad, because I was getting
that
annoyed.
Indiana Jones vibe. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, in the desert, and we're having this face off, and he's just like, you know,
yeah.
I will say, one of my only nitpicks about that one scene specifically is how they are really like, they're trying to be creative on it, and like, how many times can we like put them in a mirror shot or whatever? Like, where do we find these like reflective surfaces? So when he pulled that knife out, I mean, it looked like it had never been used. The knife is huge. It was like a mirror.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And he's like, so shiny. And I'm just like, I don't think that's real, bud. I mean, just I've never seen that. So I was just like, okay, I get it though. You know, you just gotta have to buy into the world of Moon Knight or whatever. They're just doing the best they can. But yeah, I mean, that's
absolutely clean knife you could ever see. Like, he polished it.
Like, he just bought that knife. Like, he
just got it from the gas station.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to Luis's point, I was excited to see Mark Spector. Is that the name?
Yeah.
Yes. The Mark character. I was excited to see him in an action scene where he wasn't like trying to get the body; he already had it. Yeah. And I felt like a sense of like worry for the bad guys in this scene for the first time. I was like, oh, you guys like don't know, like this guy's gonna hurt you. And so that was kind of cool that every time they tried to be flashy, he was like one step ahead of them.
And we finally get to see that on screen because
right.
So far, it's just been blackout and then dead people.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is this time, now that we blacked out of Steven's experience, I want to see what Steven said when he took over the body in that first fight on the rooftop. Because clearly he was like about to like cut him. And then Mark blacks out and he ends up in a taxi cab. And he's like, whoa, where am I going? And he's like, you're going to the airport. I would love to see Steven's like, sorry guys, didn't mean to fight. Have a good one. Yeah. Get a knife. You know, like.
Or was it Steven? Steven's. I mean, I don't know. To go back to that rooftop, I know you were just trying to trail away from that, but one thing that made me laugh out loud was when the younger of those three bad guys,
the one with the red hair or whatever.
He was about to like punch the hell out of him, and then just like you could see the strain on his face and turn it into a slap. Just because I guess he was the kid. I was just like, good for you, Mark. Good for you. That was great.
He's got, you know, those like crazy violent tendencies, but he's like also not a bad guy. Okay, he's not going to go hurting children.
Oscar Isaac is playing the physicality of this character extremely well.
I think. Well, he's a theater kid, so I think he knows how to do it well. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, I just don't have that in my head for him. So for him to do it so well in this show, it really is like a thumbs up in my book. It's like, oh, okay, Oscar Isaac's he does have a lot of range.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's having fun with it. What's more?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Yeah, you know, then we had we finally met these, like, you know, we know he's an avatar. Basically, he's like the voice or the mouthpiece of the god, Khonshu. Yeah, not the blue people and not the anime airbender. Right. And so we got to see what's it called? Ethan Hawke's character is trying to raise Amet from back, and he's like, we got to stop him. So they like rounded up all the gods and their avatars in that temple, and we had a lot of exposition, and basically we got to stop Ethan Hawke from raising Amet, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you got, and then they had a whole thing at that horse place. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, that was another example of his physical comedy, is him having to yell out.
Oh yes.
The Khonshu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything all his dialogue.
His voice. Yeah, just like suddenly like belting it out, but like his whole body went like really strained to. Yeah, he plays it to a T. And then, sorry, we get to that horse place, which is the first introduction to the actor Gaspard Ulliel.
Is that the guy that was on the horse?
Yeah, the French guy.
Like the main bad guy?
Who died back in January from a...
I had totally forgotten about that.
Oh, that's the guy who passed away. The one who...
he died from... He had like a skiing accident.
Right.
Woof.
And he was only like in his early 30s, like not much older than us. So yeah, I didn't notice in the credits if they did a shout out to him or not.
No, I wasn't really watching.
Yeah, it really struck me when I realized like, oh shit, yeah, he died, and he's supposed to be in a couple of episodes of this show. So yeah,
that's crazy. I definitely didn't remember that news, and I didn't place that was him, even if I had remembered. So I guess, listen, here's the deal. This episode, I'm getting maybe just like hints, little twinges of boredom on the show. I am kind of like not really paying. This was the first episode where I found myself on my phone a lot. So like on scenes like that, that's another reason why I didn't recognize that guy, because I was just like not really looking at his face most of that scene. But
it's a lot of exposition to get through. Like there's a lot.
I think that's the problem.
They have a lot to explain in these two episodes, where it's like I really got to get you all the way to this last scene in the stars. Do you know what I mean? Like
I didn't care for Doctor Strange the first time I saw him. You know what I mean? And now I think he's a lot cooler. I'm much more interested to see his movie now. So I'm not like dogging on the character overall. Like I think, and Oscar Isaac was great. So I think like once he like starts getting into the MCU a little bit more, that'll be more fun. But just like right now,
Oscar Isaac is really, I think Oscar Isaac's definitely like keeping everyone's interest,
yes,
in Moon Knight. I wanted to bring up, go for it.
Oh,
no.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there was bound, as far as these MCU shows have been going, there was bound to be an episode, and I think this has been a consistent issue, if you will, on each of these, and it was going to bring me to one of a question I wanted to ask you guys. There always seems to be like really good episodes, and then just kind of like some slog episodes on each series so far. Totally. I feel like, and so my question to you guys is, this is the third episode in. Do you guys think this would have worked better as a series? Granted, obviously we don't know what's going to happen yet, but do you think this could have been told better through a movie?
I think
essentially a 6-hour series?
I think a movie. Now that I've gotten this far, I feel like I might have been...
They could have tightened up some of the exposition, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't have sold, probably. Like, nobody would have gone into theaters. That's probably the fear. I think on TV you have more of a chance to, like, explore,
more reach.
Yeah, and, like, characters that people may not know. Like, well, it's streaming. I don't really have to try. It's on Disney Plus. I already have that service, so why not? Let me get my MCU fix and watch Moon Knight. I like Oscar Isaac. But to pull people into theaters to a Moon Knight character, it's like, I don't know who this guy is. What is this? I think...
That's a tough sell, you know what I mean?
It's a tough
But I would
sell.
I would argue that, I mean, at least for me, who I like going into the MCU, 14 odd years ago, or more than that now, I think like every step of the way I was resisting it, because these were characters that I just didn't know or care about.
That's true.
I.e., i.e., like Thor, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy is probably like the best example. Ant-Man. So and I mean, granted, Disney Plus is new and upcoming, and they're really trying to stretch those legs of theirs with Star Wars and everything. And I get it. You want to have consistent and ongoing content from all of these universes that people can just kind of dig into at home. But yeah, I mean, it almost cheapens it in a way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not an event, and like we were saying, it's not. There is a lot of fat that could ultimately be cut down to, say, a 2.5 hour movie.
Also,
especially when introducing a new character, and at this point, we're on board. We're on board with the MCU. So any character that you decide to throw at us, we're going to give some attention to, or most people, most audiences. If anything, because we're at this stage now. We got through Endgame with all of those characters previously, so we're here now. Like, keep feeding it to us. So
to your point about cheapening it a little bit, Ed, that makes me think about how, like, when they initially started the Infinity Saga and through Endgame.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Sarah brought me a beer.
During the Infinity Saga, you know what I mean? These actors were signed on to like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pictures, because they were going to be in this like sprawling story, and, they were going to be there for a while, and they were going to craft this long thing. And now after that, I'm reading that like a lot of actors are not getting those long contracts anymore. They're coming on for like 1 or 2 projects. And it's just like, because you were talking about fat, and it's like all this bloat, you know what I mean? We have to fill with so many new characters, and they're kind of experimenting with it. It's just like, I don't think every project is going to land as strongly as they did through that first 22 movie run up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard because you've introduced television to the mix now,
Yes.
And with television, people want, like, every season, every year, I expect to see a show
more or something,
more, and I expect content. I expect, now that you've introduced a show, I expect content every single week for a character, instead of waiting for, we don't, 1 year we had 2 Marvel movies, and now we have like 3 Marvel movies, maybe 4, with
3
all these
shows
and all these shows happening at the same time. It's like we have some sort of separation anxiety from MCU. They have to always be there to kind of guide us along. And that's the deal that you make with the devil once you sign up with TV. It's like,
totally,
you've gone into TV world, and now you can't really stop the train. It's like,
and with shows though, with shows you're in more danger of losing your audience, because like if the first 2
don't hook
3
you
episodes, you're out. You're just like, I just couldn't be bothered to finish it out. Especially if it's like a 6 to 10 episode season.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what am I missing, really? Whereas, with a movie, there is that expectation, and it's not always delivered, but it still takes the story to the next step, right? So they're really kind of just...
It's hard because movies sometimes, like with really good television shows, you can really dive into some character depth and like character study. That movies can't, where movies you can feel the time of like, we really need to wrap this story up because we only have an hour left.
Right.
With television, you can spend time with different characters for a whole, hour, and it feels like a movie because we really take the time to develop that. And so you have an episode about this character, an episode about this character, and then you see them come together, and you're like, oh wow. It really took me watching the whole series to finally appreciate the climax of this story. And sometimes with movies, you have to go through all the beats real quickly because time's running out. But at the same time, invert that, you get a lot of fat in TV shows where you have a bunch of nonsense where you could have just gotten it all done quickly in a movie.
I mean, some of these episodes really...
in a tight show. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you guys.
No,
some of these episodes, like when I turned this one on today, I was like, 52 minutes. Okay, here we go. Like, maybe it doesn't need to be these long, hour-long episodes, Especially when there's just like, we've talked about exposition for Moon Knight specifically for the last 3 episodes. And it's like, there's only 6. How much more exposition do we really need? How much more knowledge, pre-hand knowledge do I need to be fed? Yeah, I want to get to the meat of it now.
Yeah, all I was going to say was just like with each episode in itself, it's getting a little repetitious that Moon Knight, the character,
only shows up once.
Appearance in one,
at the very end.
Highlight it, or I mean, in this episode it was kind of, middling, but still, it's like, okay, put on the suit, and it's like, build up, and there's Moon Knight, and let him do his thing, yada yada. So
there was also at the very middle, where they're like, okay, that thing failed, but I have this other option, this other quest you have to do. Go do this quest, and it's like, we got to do a side mission to do a side mission to do a side mission to get to what we need. You know what I mean? Where those sometimes that happens in stories where it's just like, oh, this is just a video game where I have to go from point to point to point to point just to get to this. And that's not really a story. You know what I mean? That's just like plot devices to complicate things so that we spend more time with the character. And I did absolutely. And that was I guess was the thing. I don't know if you guys. I'm gonna say these 2 things that have to do with just like MCU lore or whatever, and then closing thoughts on it. But we had the line from Khonshu saying, "We need the might of the gods before we lose this realm," and I think that's a kind of a huge line. Because we're talking about realms, we're talking about dimensions. You know what I mean? We've said it again. We're gonna have dimensions and realms in Multiverse of Madness. We had realms in Shang-Chi. We're gonna get more from Kang.
Also Thor.
We got him in Loki and Ant-Man. All these things are dealing
everything,
with
everywhere, all the time.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. Check it out. We're talking about it soon, literally in 5 minutes. So, they are kind of leading fans to say, hey, the realms are an issue. The gods have some involvement with the realms, and I think that's just a comment to say that Khonshu and all this is like, hey, he is a character that is important for whatever's going to happen in the MCU future. And Khonshu is somebody who is kind of this protector. Well, he does things not in the greatest way. It's kind of like, I don't care what the means is, just like as long as the end is right. I'll take over the world if I have to make sure everyone's safe. In the latest Avengers run, in the comic run, he like basically steals everybody's powers because he's trying to fight off Mephisto from like taking over the world. He's like, we're not powerful enough at all. Okay. So I'm going to steal Thor's power. I'm going to steal Doctor Strange power. I'm going to try to steal Iron Fist's power. I'm going to steal Ghost Rider's power. And Moon Knight had everything with Khonshu because they were trying to protect the world. But he like made the world kind of a terrible place, in his way. Yeah. But he was like, we got to stop it from Mephisto from taking over the realm. It's kind of the same thing. He's like, hey, we really need to aggressively protect this world. And he's using his avatars to do that. Probably pushing Ethan Hawke's character to be like, you want me to save the world? I'll save the world by eliminating people who are going to do evil in the future. This is kind of like a Thanos situation, but instead of randomly picking people, he is specifically picking the wrongdoers to fade away. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's the end goal here, is that he's going to raise Amet, and then he's going to eliminate mass death of a lot of people. Same with Captain America, the Winter Soldier. The whole point of that was they were going to have these helicarriers go up in the air and eliminate threats that they see fit. And it's all about eliminating these threats, and Khonshu kind of pushing Ethan Hawke maybe into this mentality. They split ways in how to do that properly. But yeah, and then the second point I wanted to make is there was a connection to what's it called? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think we lost Miguel. We did.
Oh yeah.
He'll come back. So, but this is
hey,
you've never experienced this, Ed. You've always been the character that's lost.
Yeah.
This is how it is on the other side.
All right, let's talk shit.
Let's talk shit. All right, Miguel's a piece of shit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, we'll get to, so I just one last thing was they made a connection to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They went to this place called Madripoor in the show.
Yes.
And so that's where they met the character. God, it's Agent Carter's like granddaughter. The blonde girl. I forget her name.
Yeah,
everyone's yelling at me.
Yeah, from Winter. No, I can't remember either.
Yeah,
you know why? Because it's not relevant.
Yeah, but she is. She's like the lead person in Madripoor, and so I guess Layla and Anton had some connection to doing
There he
business in
is.
Madripoor. Welcome back, Miguel.
Yo, sorry, all of a sudden
It's
it
all
just
good.
kicked out.
I was just connecting the dots from here with Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they mentioned Madripoor, Layla, the character that Moon Knight's with. She said she had a connection with Anton, the guy who has all the artifacts in Madripoor. So it's like, oh, there's something going on with Madripoor. Maybe she has a connection with that Carter character. Who knows? But just wanted to flag those two things that caught my eye before you have closing statements.
Let me ask. Here's my closing statement on this. Did you, because you were mentioning the Layla character, I don't know about you guys, but for like a solid 10 minutes during this episode today, I was like, is that the girl from Arrested Development?
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah,
She-
I know what you're saying.
I know she's not. But she looks just like her, especially in some shots, like some angles.
Yeah.
She's got a very similar hairstyle and skin tone and facial features, and I was just like, they could be doppelgangers of each other almost.
You wanna know
what
No,
I
I
mean?
get that.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? This person just looks nothing like this person. But the quirks that they did with their face, the mannerisms that they move with their face, reminded me, and everyone's going to say absolutely not, of Emma Stone.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh,
I kind of get that.
Like, even
kinda
the way
get
that
that.
she spoke a little bit of like...
Yeah. Not, what do you call it? It's not like necessarily like a lisp, but it's the way you're talking about the way she moves her mouth when she speaks. Yeah,
there's just
okay.
something about it that gave a little
Nothing
whisper of her
critical.
presence.
Nothing critical. But
No, not at all. It's just
more-
like I was watching.
No,
I was like, oh, I just felt like I got
similarities.
taken into Superbad or something. You know what I mean? Or
that's
Cruella.
hilarious.
Like I just like, why do I have
I
visions
could
of
see
Cruella
that.
in my head now? So
Yeah.
check it out.
I'm gonna be
Okay.
thinking
No,
that when I
you're
see
in.
it. Watch it next.
and it's
good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Sarah was like, absolutely not. I don't see it. I was like, what?
The last thing I want to say is in that horse scene or whatever. And Miguel, I'm kind of with you. Like, this was like the most so far where I've been like, I'm just gonna check my phone here. But
Okay. But weren't you watching it on your phone?
yeah. So there is this thing where you can
Just swipe away.
Well, you
swipe
can-
away.
you can have that screen playing in the top corner of your phone. I don't know if you know this.
So you made it even smaller while you were watching this episode?
Only in parts. Only in parts, where it's just obviously exposition. But the exchange between those two, Stephen and Mark again, and really the key
As Moon
key
Knight?
thing that just keeps me invested in this show is when Stephen, and I will say this, I don't know why Stephen in every fucking life-threatening situation he's saying like, give me the body, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
And then he finally does it, he gives him the body and he gets stabbed front, back, leg.
Take the body.
Take the body back. Take it back. That was great. I was just like,
That was
a good moment. Because like earlier in the episode, I was just like, what are you gonna do, Stephen? He's like, these guys are gonna kill him with these giant knives, and you keep interfering. Just shut the fuck up for a second. And then, sure enough, he gets his comeuppance.
That had me kind of confused because, like, for a half second, he was bulletproof when he was the regular Moon Knight.
Well, his cape was.
He's like getting shot.
His
and
cape
he's like,
was bullet.
I think he took. I thought he took some to the chest at one point too, but maybe
No,
I'm
he
wrong.
got it front and back.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
But no, I'm talking about getting shot, and then as Steven, then he gets stabbed from all these angles, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's not like impenetrable or
Right.
whatever. He can get hurt, and that was kind of like for me a good thing. It's like, okay,
They did utilize.
there are some.
They did
stakes.
utilize the cape a lot more in this one. Notice, like, when he jumps off that building, he makes the crescent.
Yeah. God, that cape looks so fake.
Oh, so fake.
There was one moment when they were fighting with
I
the cape,
kinda
and the guy
think
is
most of
grabbing
his
it, and
outfit-
it's like he's like tugging at it, and I can tell there's nothing that he's tugging. He's just acting in the air, and I'm like, oh, why?
He doesn't even feel restrained.
Yeah.
In the episode beforehand, when he's fighting that like Egypt dog on the streets of England or whatever, he pulls the moons off of his chest, and it just looked like he was just like flop like in a video game, like they just popped into his hands.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know. This is what I mean about like TV budget in a Marvel universe. You know what I mean? It's like in Avengers Endgame, you throw Moon Knight in there, he's going to look really good. The CGI is going to be great.
We're
They're
excited
have, like,
for him to be in the movies.
$200 million budget.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, that's really my biggest point. Is like when they introduce these new characters, I understand it's like this is the intro, this is like the origin, but I'm already like, let's get past it. Like, let's get us straight to the MCU as soon as possible.
Yeah. And now he doesn't have his powers, so like we're gonna see. We had to. What's it called? Okay. So now he has no powers, and so we're gonna have the next episode, which they said the next episode is gonna be crazy. So we'll see how crazy it gets now that he doesn't have his powers.
We're so close. I mean, we're already
done.
We're past the midpoint,
you're right.
So we need
and
some
then
really
finally,
solid
God damn it,
hits.
who's taking care of his fish? Okay, what are we gonna find out about this fish?
So not to have to bring like other podcasts up, but like in the reviews I've been hearing so far, critics got previews to the first 4 episodes of this series, and they say the third one is the worst.
Oh, good to
and
know.
then the fourth one picks back up again.
Okay.
That I can't. Maybe that was the mentality I went into with this episode, but hopefully by the next episode things will kind of like I said, with each series they just need that one slog of an episode where they're just like, well, just to catch you up, here's all the gods, here's all the rules, yada yada.
Yeah, exactly. Here's all the connective tissue that we can still like connect to them.
Exactly.
There's that one shot where he's like, looks like he's in an insane asylum, and he's like banging his head. Do you know what I mean? He's in the trailers, and Oscar Isaac looks like he's going crazy. And so that shot has like been stuck in my head about like, wow, how much of this is in his head? Is it fake? Are we gonna get tripped out? Are we gonna have some weird like, I don't know, nothing is real, don't trust the narrator type of experience? But we'll see with episode 4 or 5, and then the finale 6.
Maybe at the end of Moon Knight, we can rank all of the worst episodes of each Disney Plus show so far.
Challenge accepted.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Content creator. All right.
Don't mess with him because he's gonna be creating content. Okay. We're moving on to our feature discussion here. We're gonna talk about everything, everywhere, all at once. Bum, 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 bum. Directed by Daniels. The Daniels are Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. I'm so sorry. Scheinert. Yeah, thank you.
Scheinert. Or Scheinert.
So, the premise here, when an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, an unlikely hero must channel her newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse as the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Ed, do you want to give us kind of your thoughts on it, and then I'll...
I am so ready to talk about this fucking movie.
Take it away. Is the Ed Hour
Ladies
show.
and gentlemen, here, look at my notes here.
Go to YouTube and look at his notes,
no.
ladies and gentlemen. It is packed with insightful information that you're about to hear right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will say before we start, this is a movie that the less you know, the better it is. The whole way. It is like an experience like no other. Hands down, this is like better than any movie I saw last year. To put it into some perspective, like I almost wish that it had come out last year, just so that it could have been like nominated and won for every category. I've never been so like emotionally, I don't know, just fucked around with. Like this movie is both hilarious and heart-wrenching at the same time. It completely took me by surprise. I went into it having seen the Daniels' previous feature, Swiss Army Man, which I would recommend to anyone. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but I would tell you that that movie was completely absurd and bizarre. Was also very endearing. Like, I remember shedding a couple of tears at the end of that movie, and I won't go into that movie's premise and all of that, because we'll be here all night, but, like, it took me by surprise at how good it was, and how sincere it was with the premise that it's set around. And the same going into this, and the trailer, would set you up for what is a wacky time, to just put it lightly. But the fact that this movie just kept surpassing my expectations, as far as, like, there was literally a moment where I was just like, okay, we've kind of caught up with some of the best, like, action highlights in this movie that you kind of preview in the trailer. There's no way that they can top this. Like, they might either just go too far with the jokes, it might just start taking itself too seriously, yada yada. Neither of which were true. It just, like, kept delivering and delivering, and it was just so fucking beautiful. This is, like, such creative filmmaking that should be celebrated. You know, like, this is what we go to the movies for. It's so original in every single fucking way. And to be dealing with something like the multiverse, which it does so eloquently, in one movie, it blew my mind. Like, with each act, I was just, like, mind blown that I was still invested, still in love with it, and that it was still delivering on the level that it was. And it goes to places that, I don't know, you would, like, in the moment you would question, like, oh god, is this gonna work? Like, is this where it starts falling down? But no, it just, like, kept getting better and better, and the payoff was so good. It, like, I was, like, when the credits rolled, I was literally just, like, leaning forward in my seat and just, like, exhausted emotionally. My face mask was wet from tears. It just, like, yeah, it's just so good. There are so many great moments in this movie that just keeps elevating it. It's so well written, so well done, so well acted. Michelle Yeoh, this is just, like, such an amazing movie that you don't think a lot of, you know, actors of her caliber would be even remotely interested in. I guess on paper, like, to see this script, I had to imagine is the most bizarre thing. But, like, she knocks it out of the park. If she doesn't get nominated and or win Best Actress later this year, that's a fucking crime against moviedom. I don't know. But everything in this movie, it's not just, like, gag after gag. Everything is, like, earned. Everything is built up to. Everything is justified. But nothing is... it's not like an overwhelming amount of exposition. They tell you what's happening only when it's necessary.
Yeah, that's well said.
And it's, you know, and it doesn't take away from anything. It never gets convoluted, which, given the trailer or whatever going into it, you might think, like, oh shit, this might be one of those weird indie movies that just kind of loses you halfway through in its message. But no, it's so precise in everything that it does. The fights are, like, basically foreshadowed in the very early scenes. It, like, I'm going on a rant, but it's just, like, so, despite how, like, insane it gets, it just always still feels grounded. It never feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, the worst thing coming out of it was just, like, I was exhausted by the end of it, just because of, like, how much I laughed, how much I cried, just, like, how invested I was in this movie. And sadly, I was by myself, but I was with, like, a Saturday matinee audience, and you could feel the energy around it.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody was really into it. Everybody was laughing. I was, like, surprised at how many people were there, but I was glad, too, that so many people were there experiencing it. It just, it was, like, there are only so many words that you could use to describe it without trying to, or misleading people. It's just so well done. It's, like, I was just blown away by this movie. It's so good. I couldn't believe how good it was.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly.
To echo what you're saying, I mean, yeah, I totally feel the same way that you're feeling. And going into it, even with everything that we're saying here, go into it with no expectations. Just go in there and just enjoy it frame by frame. And it is like a roller coaster that, it will lead you down the right path. I don't know if that makes sense, but like
the most bizarre paths.
Yeah. But it starts off nice.
Well,
it starts off nice and like, humble, and then it slowly unravels into something more chaotic, and then into something beautiful. Do you know what I mean?
So beautiful. Oh my God.
And
like the sincerity just, like every little bit of it just like builds to this moment at the end that is just so heartfelt and so sincere. That was there all along. It's not like there's nothing forced in this movie.
This is like when you eat something really delicious and you got a little crunchy, you got a little salty, you got a little spicy, you got a little
sweetness,
like, sweetness to it. All of that put together, a little texture, a little crunch. All that put together brings a whole balance to a delicious meal that just savors. And that's what this movie does, where it's hitting all of these points and it's not heavy-handed. It deals with a plot that could be done so dramatically and so sad about life and about how nothing matters and what's the point of even living if, in the end we all kind of die anyway. Like that is such a heavy message, but it goes about it in such a fun, lighthearted way that in the end, when you finally get to the final conclusion, you're like, life is great. And the message is easier. Like, it sounds cheesy saying it, but once you go through that whole journey and experience it, it really does hit you, and it impacts you in such a way where at the end I was like, you know what? Nothing really matters, but as long as you find something that you love or someone you love, then that's what all that matters. And so it lives in this both sides. We're like, who gives a shit? We're all going to die. It's fine. All the mistakes, everything that we're worrying about, it doesn't matter. But again, like, what matters is like being with people you love and doing things that you love to do. And at the very end, there's this turn where it's like she's fighting one way, and then at the end she fights with another way, and it enlightens these people.
Yeah, specifically her husband's, who, the whole movie plays out almost like an action comedy, but in that final bit, it's like embracing, like, peace and love and acceptance through what would typically be a fight sequence, if you will.
Yeah, and it's like, no matter what, everyone has something that they love. It's like, don't be ashamed of doing that and finding that thing that you love, finding that joy. You know what I mean? That's the name of the character, Joy. Yeah. And going on on a whole other thing about just how it was executed. We talked about how well they did the tonal shifts and the pacing. Like they went from one thing to another. That's what we keep saying, roller coaster. We keep calling it whiplash because they do whip you from thing to thing, but they do everything so well. You were talking about the fighting sequences, and it's so fun. And it isn't these things that even in Marvel shows where they're fighting, there's a lot of cuts to hide all the impactfulness. It's done in wides. It's done in ways to really like showcases people fighting talent and their ability. These are people who have made music videos in the past. They had a short budget, but they were really able to run and showcase their technique on
absolutely
with.
And if you think about it, a lot of it, a majority of the conflicts and story, in fact, takes place in one building. Yeah, it takes place on one floor of an IRS building, which is pretty like.
They took the normal and they made it extraordinary with a lot of these things. They took like normal characters, normal situations, and they're able to make it extraordinary, which just speaks to like their messaging which is life. It seems normal and banal, but it's also extraordinary and beautiful, Yeah. And it also brings the forefront, when you have a character you think is going to be in this crazy action movie, you think it's going to be like a young, fit person, that will fit the role, but that's not the case here. But it's still doesn't matter because you get an incredible story either way,
and it ties together so seamlessly. I never felt strained to keep up with it. You know what I mean? Everything flowed, and like I said earlier, it just gives you the information that you need in the moment, and that those little details that they give you, and indeed the details that they give out throughout the movie that all kind of build up to something else later on. It all feels so organic, so natural, and also hilarious at times.
They have a lot of these. Go for it.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just reminded me, they have a lot of these jokes that happen, and it's funny because they do these like pieces. We're kind of speaking a little vague, one, because if you haven't seen the movie, we want you to see the movie without spoiling too much. Also, I know Miguel hasn't seen the movie yet to call you out, but we wanted to just still talk about the movie, and they have these jokes that you think are going to be one-offs, but then they keep going back to them and keep calling back to them, and they keep building a story about it. And I'm like, holy crap! It's like it's almost like they wrote this joke and they're like, okay, what more can we add? Oh, that's a great callback. Let's go back and rewrite it. Let's add something more to it. Oh, there's something here. And you can see everything is dripping with intent and with purpose and with this theme.
Like no joke is told simply for the joke. You know, they set it up so well, so naturally. When, like, in the moment it happens, it's funny, and you don't think about it. You don't.
Yeah, you think it's a one-off.
Even possibly think it's you don't think it's going to be a callback to an action scene or whatever.
To a heartwarming scene later in the thing. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
And it's like Jamie Lee Curtis's character is I won't go into details, but like that's one key example throughout this movie. She could exactly be just like the bad IRS agent who's trying to bring them down. But no, like everything has like a touch of honesty and sincerity behind it that makes it so endearing. You know, like you the fact that you end up feeling bad for the IRS agent at the end of it. You know, it's
and scenes happen.
It takes you places, man. Holy shit.
It does. And
I've been holding this up for 5 days, so I'm glad I'm finally getting to talk about it.
And everything is done, you know, like about choice and who I can be, who I can't be, multiverse, you know, all these layers of like multiple options living on top of each other. And I love how they're able to portray that even at the very beginning when they're just having dialogue, but the dialogue is going from Chinese to English, and they're overlapping each other. And I just thought, like, knowing that this is a multiverse movie, I was like, wow, it's so cool that even the script, the way that they write it, you have almost these two realities living on top of each other, where it's just back and forth dialogue, but they're switching on and off between Chinese and English so quickly, and that's what this movie does. It's like taking pieces of these different personalities of these things to come together as one device, you know?
Absolutely. They also use, stereotypes on just about every level, but they embrace it and use it to their advantage almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with Michelle Yeoh and Quan, as most people will recognize from The Temple of Doom and The Goonies.
Yeah, I have a story about him later, but yeah.
They, I mean, they own like a washateria, and, you know, there are like moments where, you know, they delve into like Asian stereotypes or American stereotypes. Like it goes back and forth. IRS stereotypes, like I was saying earlier, like IRS agents are usually viewed as the villains, like fuck IRS, but they turn everything on its head with such with just so much thought and sincerity. Again, it's just so good. Like the fact, like some of my favorite moments, and I'm not even going to give any context to this, but there's the fanny pack fight.
Yeah.
There's the ass trophy fight.
Yeah.
And there's the dildo fight.
Yeah.
And then rocks.
Yes, I was going to
rocks.
say. Yeah, our audience accepted that scene so well. Like
well.
Everyone was laughing, but then you could feel everyone was just like their hearts sank, and they were just quiet and solemn and respectful. How
many movies can you picture would get away with the places that this movie goes. It's so insane. And the fact that they're able to bring this to, the big screen in the way that they have is just amazing. And like, if you were in desperate need of an example of what, I'm going to get on my soapbox here. If you needed a good example of why people need to go back to theaters to see original movies, like, this is the best example. Like, it's so fucking good.
I'm just going to use my AMC...
I'll leave it there, but
I'm going to use my AMC A-list, and I'm just going to, like, buy movies. Even if I'm not going to the movie this week, I'm just going to rent them, reserve them. Boop, 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 boop. You know what I mean? So I can give, like, money to that movie. I thought a fun little thing that I caught, too, was, the everything bagel was, like...
You think it's so stupid at first, but it's so deserved. It's so fucking...
And the image of the circle, like this idea of like, it's just like, it's like it goes to the black hole, basically. It's a black hole, and, this goes to the theme of nothing matters, and everything is just like shit, and it's just a black hole that sucks everything, that is absence of warmness, and is just depression. But the very first shot of the movie, I think, happens... in a reflection of a circle in a mirror, and you have the kids and you have the mom, the kid, and the dad, and they're all having fun within the circle, and you can just see like that's already the solution to the problem. Bagel. That's a solution to the problem. Right away, you're introduced with like, hey, like love is the thing, and then like, and the next shot is like slam cut, and they're gone, and it's just like you have these images of circles throughout, and I thought that was just like it was just when it sat there, it's like, this is gonna be important.
But you don't think about it because you get so wrapped up with everything. But then when it comes back, it makes sense.
And the audience, like, it starts off pretty normal, and I went with people who didn't really know what it was going to be about. And there's a moment when something strange happens, and it happens through the footage from like the security footage, and you see one of the characters doing things, and it's still done. It's not like completely in your face. It's kind of in the background, but it's enough to like trip you up and like, what's going on here?
To get your focus,
to get your focus, and to kind of get you warmed up for the ride that we're about to go, which I love. I love that it doesn't start right away in a crazy, like, insane, like bop 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 bop, like Lego Batman movie type of feeling. While I love the Lego Batman movie, it doesn't start off that way. It kind of ramps up, and just it's a good way of like taking you on a ride. Another thing I wanted to bring up or somebody brought up when we watched the movie was that, to tap into certain universes of yourself in different universes, you had to do something daring.
A certain thing, yeah.
You had to do a certain thing, whether it was like...
an obscurity.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody was talking about how, like, for you to expand yourself, for you to grow as a person, for you to do something almost impossible, you have to do something uncomfortable,
Yes.
Say you want to, I don't know, like...
which makes the ass trophy thing so much better.
Yeah. But it's like, if you want to be a better version of yourself, or if you want to try something else and you want to be the best, like, artist or poet or, like, I don't know... cook or something, you kind of have to do uncomfortable things to become that version of yourself, and I think they're able to kind of portray that in these quick quirky ways, like Paper Cut. I couldn't watch the scene when that was happening. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Ed? The Paper Cut
yes
scene? Yeah, like
yes.
I looked
I felt that. Oh man, I was just like, ooh, cringing so hard. Paper Cuts suck.
Yeah.
And he's doing it deliberately in between his
Yeah. It's just like that's what I mean. It's dripping with all, like, every choice is still feeding to the theme, feeding to the motifs of the movie, which is really cool. So I can't wait to see it again. Miguel, I can't wait for you to see it. I feel like we're throwing like so much information, but at the same time, it's so much information that you won't really remember.
It's
when
vague.
You watch the movie,
it's
right?
vague.
I am just barely paying
That's
attention.
Good.
So
that's good because I want you to go in with as much fresh eyes as you can.
Absolutely.
I do appreciate it. My apologies. I didn't get to see it this week. I don't think I had to be called out about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was my bad.
I could have just stayed on mute. All right. You could have edited
sorry.
me out.
Hey,
listen,
Miguel,
we're all busy people. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to do things.
Yeah. No, I'm just fucking around. I'm kind of hanging out. It's been good because the only thing I want to comment on is that you guys are talking about this movie, and this is not related, but I just read a thread on Reddit recently where this like 16-year-old was like, I just saw The Matrix for the first time. What was that like watching it in theaters? And I didn't see that movie in theaters, but I just barely missed it. And I just remember that being like a movie that changed cinema and, or at the very least, impacted every audience that saw it. And so I was just thinking about that as you guys were talking about this movie. And it's kind of nice that like not every movie gets to be this. And so for for this one to be so special and for everyone to like really be on board, like that theater experience is so strong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm glad you guys got to experience it.
Yeah, I mean, it genuinely felt like a bonding experience coming out of that theater, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I had a person 2 seats away on my right and a person like the same on my left, but I could feel their reactions in sync to mine watching this. And yeah, I mean, when a movie can do that, like and like I said, I saw a Saturday matinee, so it wasn't like a full theater, but it had like quite a few people there. So to get to experience that with them, it definitely enriched the experience.
That's awesome. I was definitely going to see it on like a Tuesday at like 10 a.m. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Because if we get a chance to go in the next week or two, it would be nice to.
And I recommend going with Kristen too.
I think Kristen would love this. Yeah. And one thing I was gonna compare it to. It just felt so almost in tune with Turning Red. Because kind of at its core is like a mother-daughter relationship. Or at least part of the plot. And it, to me anyway, it felt there was some similarities there. So it's almost like a good double feature is Turning Red and then watching this movie. Because I don't know why, it was just like the first movie I thought of coming out of this. Not because Turning Red goes to those extremes, but there at the core there's this very old-fashioned stereotypical mother who's held down by her parents' judgmental and critical expectations, only for them to overcome it and bond, make a better relationship out of it. This is such a fucking great movie.
and these are directors who've also done music videos too, so you can kind of see how.
And Swiss Army Man, I would implore anybody to go check out Swiss Army Man if you want like even a taste of what this movie would be like. Swiss Army Man was, I think personally, is a great movie, severely overlooked, but like super hilarious, very sad, but. Again, they balance it out so well.
And if you're a fan of Little John's, Turned Down for What? Well, they did a music video for that. All right.
Hey,
so check that out.
I appreciate Louis coming in with these facts. You know what I mean?
I did not know that.
Ed, you were talking about The Family Man earlier, and I'm just now realizing that was another movie that these people made. Is that what you were saying?
The Family Man? No, I don't think they made that.
They don't think.
Did I say that?
No, they didn't make that movie.
I don't remember.
I said Swiss Army Man.
Why were you talking about the? No, but before that, you mentioned The Family Man. Was that on accident? Was that just like? I've been holding on to that because I thought you were talking about The Family Man. I thought that
Nick
was that
Cage?
Nicolas Cage movie where they. Yeah.
No, as far as I'm aware, they did not.
Am I? Sarah, tell me if I'm wrong. I know you're listening. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Ed said.
I have to listen.
I'm pretty sure you said family. Maybe you were just misspeaking.
Maybe.
But I was like, huh? They did that Nicolas Cage.
They've been in the
That'd be
business
so
for a
random.
long time. No.
Okay. Yeah, and then they stopped. And they honed in their craft, and then they came.
I'm literally looking it up right now.
I was listening to Around the Table interview from Entertainment Weekly. It was before they premiered it at South by Southwest, and they were talking about
There's no fucking way.
What's his name?
This.
Gosh, I'm so.
That was Brett Ratner.
Oh, Brett Ratner.
Don't yell at me, Ed. You're the one that said
No,
it.
I know. Well, you may have been taking me out of context. I don't know. I don't remember
No.
saying that. But anyway, Brett Ratner directed the Family.
Sorry, Louise.
Go ahead, Louise.
How did you
sorry.
say the guy with the fanny pack? How do you say his name? I'm so sorry. Quan?
Kwan.
Okay.
Yeah. Short Round from Temple of Doom. And
So he, he grew up and he stopped getting work as an actor, and all of his friends started getting actor work, and he just felt so sad about that. So he just stopped acting, went into the film school, and got in the industry that way. And then when Crazy Rich Asians came out, a movie that Michelle Yeoh was in, and everybody else, a lot of Asians were in, he had this hit of FOMO, and he was like, I want to get back in the movies again. Calls an agent to say, hey, can I get a movie? 2 weeks later, he gets an audition for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then he gets the role.
I'm so glad.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad.
And he was
because you couldn't really see anybody else play it.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just starstruck by all the people that were there. And he had this scene where it was him and Jamie Lee Curtis, and the camera was on him, and he did his scene, his first lines. And he looks at Jamie Lee Curtis, and he's like, "Was that okay? Did I do a good job?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're amazing. You're incredible." And just he was like, "I'm surrounded by stars." And she's like, "No, honey, you're a star. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't call this a comeback. This is just a return. You're here. I'm so glad that you've been able to share your art with me." And it's like, oh, Jamie, that's so cool.
That makes me want to cry. But yeah, man, I just watched. He was on Jimmy Kimmel recently.
Okay.
And he acts like he's not a part of that Hollywood world at all. Yeah. He is just so happy to be there. But I to that point, I was just give him a fucking best supporting actor nod. Give Stephanie Hsu a fucking best supporting actress. This movie. Everybody is so good.
This movie's
in this movie.
The Oscar season just ended, and it's coming out right when it ends, and it's so early on, but please let it be considered for an Oscar.
Oh, God,
you know what I
mean?
I think this needs to be considered for it, so I really hope.
It would be a huge mistake. I mean, it's such a... Well, again, this is just what movies are all about. It's so well done. All credit to Daniels, and all the cast is so good. I don't think there's a wrong foot anywhere.
I'm gonna have one more thing, and then Ed, if you have any closing stuff.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Two things. One, if you like these kind of stories after watching it, I have this book called Dark Matter. I know there's a TV series about it. I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's a whole different concept or whatever. But the book Dark Matter deals kind of with this concept. So I really like the book. If you need a book, I recommend reading Dark Matter. It's about people dealing with different timelines, multiverses. But again, it's this is kind of the same themes. And then the second thing I wanted to say was I can't believe that they really took that Rakakantui joke all the way through. And that's it.
Everything they committed to. And that was such a great moment. From the trailer, I was excited to see that moment, whatever it may be. And I'm so glad that raccoon was there to stay.
And it was such a throwaway thing. And it just, like I said, it just kept coming back. We've had this long discussion, and we had a gas talking about it. But you know what? I really want to hear from my friend Miguel, because we haven't heard from him.
Okay.
So we're moving into what we're into. And Miguel, talk to us about what you've been into.
CODA.
Okay. So yes, I did watch CODA. I have a couple other things written down here. I know we're running kind of long, so I might not talk about all of them.
That's okay. It might be a long
but I will talk about CODA.
Can you address it properly? Best Picture winner, CODA.
Best Picture winner, CODA. Yeah, and I don't want to be attacked. I'm just letting me upfront say I liked this movie. I'm coming in with positive vibes. I have a couple of criticisms, but really they're just nitpicky. So don't worry, everyone. Stand down.
Stand down, everybody.
I liked this movie. I have a couple notes here. I'm going to kind of just paraphrase them as I read through them. So like I said, I mean, I was invested in this story. Okay. It was good. I thought the characters were good, and they were all compelling. And I know Troy Kotsur, the dad, won Best Supporting Actor. Yes. But I don't think he outshone any specific person. I think everyone, it was a really good ensemble, and I had a really good time with all of these characters. Luis, actually, one of the things that I had in the forefront of my mind when I started watching it was that you were talking about the music teacher, and how you thought he should have been nominated. And I've seen it now twice. I watched it last week and again to. Oh no!
I've only seen it one time. Well, Mr. CODA, fancy man.
I don't rewatch movies. Okay, and I made a point to. I was having an Apple TV Plus day today, so I made a point to watch it because I knew we were going to talk about it. My point, I was saying, I really, especially the second time through, I really enjoyed the music teacher, Mr. V. Bernardo, or whatever. He really was fantastic. I also noticed he's also on another Apple TV Plus product. I think it's a TV show called Acapulco or something like that. But I definitely think he should have been recognized for this movie because he really is one of the like shining energies of it. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get all my good notes out of the way real quick before I get nitpicky. Go ahead.
No. About the music teacher, I think my one qualm, and I feel like this is probably gonna be one of your many qualms, Miguel, like on the movie overall, is that I thought the music teacher role was something that we've seen so many times.
Now, I will give you that, but I will say, for me personally, I related to him. Luis, I know you went to school for acting. I also went to school for acting for a little bit, so I remember those mentors that really like took a shining to you and would push you in those directions. Or, I remember being embarrassed about things, and so the way he made her feel comfortable about being embarrassed. And then when I went on later to like teach high schoolers for a brief bit, I remember feeling that same kind of energy. Like, you don't want people to be embarrassed by the craft. You want them to embrace it. And even though he's kind of stern and kind of big energy sometimes, like, he's still a very honest person. Sure. And I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I think that's we've seen this character before, but he goes about it doing it in an honest way, which, you know what?
Yeah.
I always enjoy no matter what.
Yeah, not a criticism on him. I agree. It was a really good. I think everybody did a good performance here. I was just curious to that fact.
So here's a couple of nitpicks, okay? And then I'm going to get to my favorite moments as well. So I still have more good things. It's just like a sandwich criticism thing. You know what I mean? So here's the deal. The two biggest things I had a problem with was, one, the overall product of CODA looked very much like, the story was great. I thought the story was solid. The characters were solid, but it looked visually just like a television show. And because it wasn't presented in that medium, my brain just kind of associated it as like a TV movie. So I think one of the things that I was kind of like not connecting with on my couple of viewings was, when I think of the Oscars and Best Picture specifically, like, okay, not just the specific actor or writer or makeup or costume, but like the whole thing. It just didn't feel like it was on that level. I wouldn't have necessarily gone to see CODA in the theaters and walked away going, I'm so happy I saw that in theaters. You know what I mean? So that was just like a nitpick, though. Like, it really was not. It wasn't detrimental to my experience overall. But keeping in mind about this television show, I'm gonna kind of bounce back to that in just a second. One thing that I really wanted to talk about was Marlee Matlin, the mom. So Marlee Matlin is, she won her Oscar at like 19 or whatever for Children of a Lesser God, where, the whole story revolved around a deaf character. I assume. I actually haven't seen that movie. That was an assumption that I just made.
It's not like she was a hearing person.
She's deaf, and that's... So, I mean, that's just... But my thought on it is this. When they're doing a movie about deaf characters and they get Marlee Matlin, that's like getting... You know what I mean? She is like the star for something like this, especially because she's got a proven track record. She's won an Oscar for playing or telling these kinds of stories. So especially on my second viewing, one of the things I was really kind of missing was the fact that they didn't really give Marlee Matlin anything to do. And I understand it's an ensemble piece, and really, even though it's an ensemble piece, we're kind of getting the story mainly from the daughter, Ruby. I just felt like they cut some moments, and they kind of like I don't know what I'm trying to say. They just didn't give her enough to do. And I was kind of surprised going in, and then later a little disappointed, because she specifically has her big scene of the movie is her and Ruby sit down in Ruby's room, and they're on her bed, and she gives her the dress. She had previously been kind of like, why are you in choir? And now she's like giving her a dress. So it's like an olive branch. And to me, that scene just didn't feel earned, because they just didn't really give her those moments, other than a couple of like really quick lines here and there, like, oh, you're slouching, or, oh, you stink of fish. You know what I mean? And so because that plot point was kind of thrown away, I didn't really feel like that scene was as strong. And that's really my biggest takeaway, was just like, why is Marlee Matlin here, other than the fact that she can like physically play this character? She's deaf, she can sign. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like, give her a little bit more to do. But that's being nitpicky. Oh, and I was bringing it back to the TV point by saying this. Not every movie can do this, I guess. But this movie specifically, and especially because it came out on a streaming service, Apple TV Plus, I think CODA is totally like prime and ready to be adapted into a TV series where they just kind of like follow these same characters. And I would argue that it should be the exact same ensemble, maybe without the daughter. The daughter's away at college kind of deal. And like that would be a great on Apple TV Plus series. Would be like a great moment for Marlee Matlin to like really have a little more zhuzh. You know what I mean?
Or still follow the daughter too. I mean, seeing her transition into college by herself would be a fun. And I'm not saying just her, but like the family too, doing like
because it's
surviving without her.
Yes. Which I feel like this movie, you know what I mean? That's the story they're telling already, but it's like we could kind of delve a little deeper into that and just kind of see how that plays out, and just give everyone a little more room to stretch their legs. But overall, I did really enjoy it. I do have a few favorite moments that I'd like to share with you guys, if y'all are interested.
Actually, I'd like to talk about everything, everywhere, all at once.
You want to go back? Let's do that instead. I'll just go back to the music. So I mentioned the music teacher already. So my favorite moments, they all happened in the last act. Which I guess was me just being whatever.
That's where it starts punching.
Yeah, that's where I noticed it. So it starts at the beginning when they actually go to the choir concert, and she's singing, and her friend is like telling them, oh, she sounds really great, but they just can't hear her. And there's the initial song where not only can they not hear, but they're like talking about dinner while they're singing, and you feel kind of bad for them. But specifically when she has her duet with the boyfriend, and how there's that one moment where for the first time, I think it's the first time in the movie, you just don't hear anything at all, and how impactful that moment was. To kind of get a sense of, earlier we saw a shot of her realizing they're not paying attention, so that hurts for her. And now we're getting this moment where, especially as a parent, you know, just to miss out on that, on something big that your child is so excited for, I would be crushed, you know? So I really felt that moment. And that was kind of the downfall of what I wrote here, my downfall of like my emotional spiral. Or whatever,
that's a moment that the director fought for too. I don't know if Ed, you're going to say this, but that
I remember you talking about that. Yeah. And it's so deserved. It's a really good one.
And they're also helpless in it too, because of course they want to support their daughter, but she's embarking on something that they literally cannot partake on. I mean, but to what Luis was saying, that was like something that the director had to fight for. Not have the big moment be there where, you know, we're listening to her performance, but rather seeing it from their perspective and canceling out that performance essentially.
that led into a moment that I didn't initially have down here. It was on the second viewing that I was like, oh yeah, that was a really solid moment. Was when after the show, the dad and her are sitting and talking about it, and he asked her to say, "Hey, calm down, bud. It's not happening anymore.
No.
We paused it.
No, I need to go back and watch it.
He asks her to sing it for him, and then it ends with him kind of like putting his hands on her so he can feel it. And I was just like, what a moment. It said so much without them saying anything at all. And that to me, I was like, oh, that's his Oscar moment. You know what I mean? Like that was the scene where I feel
Absolutely.
like, you know what I mean? Okay, by this point, we've seen a lot of really good pluses, and that was the one that really like sent it home.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this was like I was starting to get teary eyed. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, okay, that's tough. And I'm really happy for them. And you could tell that's when the shift happened in their family. They started getting excited for her. And when she goes to her audition and she starts signing while she's singing, like at first I was like, oh, they're there. And we'll just have, I don't know why I wasn't even thinking eventually she's going to sign while she sings, like, duh. But her doing it, I mean, that was what choked me up the most. I was definitely trying to hide my tears. I was like, okay, all right, it's fine.
I love how the teacher like messes up
overall
too, doing that thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Or just to help her out, right?
Just to help her out.
To tell her, like, do more, do better. You know, you could tell they had that bond and they could do things like that. She would understand.
Absolutely.
It was a good move. It was a good moment of overall. The movie in general, I didn't write this down, but the movie in general reminded me of Mr. Holland's Opus.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen that?
I haven't seen it, no. But
with Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah. And his son is deaf in that movie. So it's told through like his perspective as like a father, a parent. He's a school teacher. He's a music teacher on top of that. So it's kind of like in the reverse, like, you know what I mean? He was always into music, and then his son comes along and it's deaf and they can't enjoy it together. I was just kind of thinking about that this afternoon as I was finishing this movie. So overall, I enjoyed it. I did not, I wrote here, also, why was it called CODA? I had to Google that. I didn't understand.
Child of Deaf Adults, right?
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
It's not an acronym.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
But it also means something, which I Googled. And it's something to do with like the finishing piece of a musical. I'm sorry, the finishing moment of a musical piece.
Oh, well, even better, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I knew of it. I didn't know they were doing an acronym.
Yeah, well, I guess I was unaware of that other one, so it's probably both.
It's probably both, yeah.
CODA is Child of Deaf Adults.
And that's like I think that's like a common phrase.
Oh,
right?
like a
because it's like a common
in the deaf community.
It's a common, like, I mean, what this movie shows is, you know, the one hearing child is having to be the bridge to the hearing world. So, but I mean, presumably that's why they came up with an acronym for it.
Well, I definitely did not know that. I did not understand that. That was something I was thinking about. So I'm glad I Googled, and I'm glad you're telling me a little bit more. I'm learning so much about this movie still.
Yeah, vice versa. I didn't know about the musical part, which makes it even more poignant.
It makes sense, yeah. Okay, I see why they're going with that. I'm not going to take up too much more time. I did want to say I did watch two other things that impacted my week or made me feel things. I'm just going to briefly touch on them. Like I said, I had an Apple TV Plus day today. The first thing I watched was Palmer, that Justin Timberlake movie.
I haven't seen it.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. So basically, I'll just give a very brief plot point, and then I'm not going to really talk too much about it. Justin Timberlake, he comes home from jail after like 12 years. He was like a college football player and got sent away to jail for some crime you don't know yet. And when he gets out, he goes back home to like some podunk town. And the next door neighbor is like a shit mom, like a druggie, Juno Temple. And her kid is like, you're not sure, you know, like gay, transgender, something like that, some sort of LGBT most likely. And he just doesn't fit in to his environment. And so Justin Timberlake comes from jail and then also has to like suddenly take care of this kid who is like an outcast. And I really enjoyed it. It was one of the movies that first came to Apple TV Plus when that subscription service dropped. And I was always kind of curious to watch it, but finally I got a chance to because I just got a trial of it, 6 months free. I said, okay, go ahead. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it. Just you guys give it a shot if you want to. It also has a little bit of like a TV movie vibe to me because it is kind of like I don't know, it's kind of a cliche story at times, but I enjoyed it. It also made me tear up a little bit. And finally, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Have you guys seen Free Solo on Disney
I've been
Plus?
meaning to see Free Solo because I think it won Best Doc, right? Like
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it either, no.
But I hear
Okay,
good
I won't
hear
talk too
good
much
things
about it either.
Right?
I hear he makes it to the top.
I'm about to shit all over this, actually.
Great.
So give me
I
just
love
like
it.
30 seconds of your time.
That's what I assumed the D plus was on your notes.
That
Disney
guy was no, it's Disney Plus. You
Yeah.
idiot. I was putting.
No, I got that it was Disney Plus, but from the sounds of it,
Also
it might be your
grade-wise.
grade. Yeah.
This guy was such a douchebag, and I'm not being serious, but because he obviously is like, he's like got Asperger's or something. Like he's like got some sort of like condition where emotions don't click with him. So this entire time I'm supposed to like care about him climbing this mountain and be like invested and worried about it. But he's kind of a dick to everyone at some point or another. And it's the opposite side of that is everyone he's kind of a dick to are all like kind of madly in love with him, and not like romantically, but they all have so much love for him, and they mention him dying like every minute of this movie. What would happen if he died? And he's just kind of like so cold to everyone that I'm like, oh, I'm not really invested in
Isn't
you.
he like a great climber that everybody like reveal like is that why it is?
No,
Is that
no.
why? I don't know why.
Of course. No, yes, that's it. I mean, like, he's like a big deal, and also he's so passionate about mountain climbing. You know what I mean? So everyone, he has a lot of supporters. I was not one of them by the end of this movie, okay? I was like, great, you climbed the mountain. Like, I kind of wish he would have felt just like a little bit. Not far.
Give him a little bit of, humility.
No, and he did have a couple moments where he fell, and he tried to kind of say, so he starts dating this girl who has nothing to do with rock climbing, and he kind of implies that it's her fault that he falls because she's like helping him like hold the rope or whatever, and at one point it slips away from her and he falls and like kind of busts up his ankle a little bit, and he was like, yeah, at the moment I just wanted to break up with her because I was so mad at her. And like, she is so desperately trying to like make their relationship work, and not in like a you feel for her kind of way. Kind of like you're like, okay, bitch, like you need to let this shit go. Like he does not like you, and it is okay. You know what I mean? But no, at one point she's like, do you think I would be important enough to make you like not climb this mountain? I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially her thought. She was like, would I ever be more important than climbing? I love you so much. And he was like, that's really great. I just want to get back to my book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to read. And I'm just like, oh, brother, like, I get it. It's like it's an
He's
issue.
like
it's like
neurodivergent.
It's a disability or whatever. Yeah. So I can understand that. But I was just like, I was never connected to him. So this whole movie was like, I'm glad everyone liked it. Not for me, not a fan. And that wraps up the Miguel
There you
section.
go.
Thank
You
guys so
had
much
to,
for
you
letting
really
me
had to
talk.
own that one since we owned the last section. You know what I mean?
Miguel,
this is your section.
No, it's okay.
Do you think that, just to go back to CODA, were you okay with it winning Best Picture? I know you didn't see most of them.
I cannot remember. I did not see most of the Best Pictures, and I can't even remember what they were. But like, I did enjoy Don't Look Up more than I enjoyed CODA.
Okay.
Not that I thought Don't Look Up should have earned Best Picture.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying? And really, just to go back to my last quick thought, my point about it being kind of like a TV quality product,
and that's actually,
it felt out of place.
Yeah, that's actually like a criticism I've heard a lot about that movie, generally speaking. I think that CODA overall was just a big warm hug that everybody needed.
I think that's absolutely what it was.
Because
it made everyone feel good. Everyone liked it.
The inverted version of it is The Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
where you have
And
the
that's not a
shots.
feel-good
The
movie.
shots. That's not a feel good movie. The shots are really beautiful. You know what I mean? Everything's a lot darker. Everything's more. It's just like things are not as clear cut as CODA. You know what I mean? The plot's pretty straightforward, and it's like it's almost shot like just like a document or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like here it is, and there we go. Power of the Dogs,
Yeah,
more artistic, beautiful shots, confusing, but also like not really a lot of heart while we're watching it.
It was nominated for 3 Oscars and it won all 3 of them, and that was Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Picture. It didn't get Best Editing, which usually is an indicator for Best Picture. Best Director it wasn't nominated for. It wasn't nominated for any of the lead acting roles, not any other technical achievements. So, I mean, that alone is pretty telling. But I think, like I said, it's just kind of like the bear hug that everybody needed.
And if everyone liked it so much, I just want to go back and say, I think it's prime, like I said, for a TV adaptation.
Sure.
Like, go ahead, turn it into a TV show. I would love to see these characters more.
Yeah.
So, Apple TV, like, you need content.
Do it.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tim Cook, hear me.
Mr. Bezos. No, wait.
That's Amazon.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it away.
And this is all on you. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler warning. I'm not going to have anything for this section because I just went back to work into the office, so haven't had a lot to. Yeah. So I mean, it's all, you can round it us out.
I really didn't have anything new to add this week. Really, what I listed was just what I have been watching.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about one?
Yeah.
Can I ask you about Righteous Gemstones? Because I'm watching that show. I love that show.
Yeah. So are you guys all caught up?
I haven't seen it, but
No,
please talk about
I
it,
think-
spoiler, and whatever you want. That's fine.
Well, no, I wouldn't go into great detail, but I do. I watched the first season when it first came out, and I only just caught up with the second season. Finished it today. And I think it's a really fun show. I really enjoy it. I know Danny McBride has had a couple of running shows with HBO.
Mm-hmm.
I never really got into Eastbound and Down. Or
Are
whatever.
you serious?
Oh, I'm watching that currently right now. I'm having a good time.
Well, not like in a negative way. I just like.
How far did you go in that show?
Well, no, I literally have watched it in like bursts, like not even in chronological order, and for whatever reason, I've just never gone back to watch it all.
Got it.
So, which maybe I should do, and I'm open to it. But all that to say is like, I'm aware of it, and he also had that one about vice principals, right? Mm-hmm. And I did watch that one. I think the first season of it, I thought it was all right. I don't think it's as good as Righteous Gemstones.
I think Righteous Gemstones has been the best one.
Wow,
so far.
I've been enjoying.
I'm watching Eastbound and Down for the first time right now, and I'm having a good time. It's definitely a solid product, and Danny McBride is. I think that was like his HBO introduction, and here we are at the. Not Genesis is a strong word, but like that his moment with HBO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Righteous Gemstones I love it.
Opus.
I'll challenge myself. I'm gonna go back and watch Eastbound and Down. That'll be my task for next week. But
Kristen and we say April. God damn it, we say that to each other all the time. That's because his wife was April of that show.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I feel like that's just kind of like his mannerisms in every fucking show he does.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But it's still such like a very well thought out comedy. It's not just kind of like here's the one gag of being like a televangelist or whatever. Because I was even reading today how Danny McBride was he didn't set out on this show to make fun of religion, but rather kind of like take a poke at hypocrites of the religion,
Yeah, absolutely.
and which is totally realized. And the second season is, I thought, really enjoyable. It generally is very funny. Like, I laugh out loud a lot. My favorite character is Judy, played by Edie Patterson.
Oh man, she nails
she is
that character.
so fucking absurd, but she's so she just does it so well, and
her comebacks, they burn. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, she's always ready to go, and she's always saying something stupid.
something
love
so just completely out of nowhere. Just like the sexuality of that character is so bizarre and so intense. But she does it so well. It's so funny. You just really don't know what the fuck is about to come out of her mouth. And it's great. I love it. So I'm glad I finally caught up with that. Sarah just started watching the first season, so I might go back and watch that. But like I said, I'll challenge myself. I'll watch Eastbound and Down and get some more insight into that. We started watching The Shrink Next Door on Apple TV. Sarah had listened to the podcast. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. This is the one with Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd.
I had to finish
you have seen it.
I had to finish the show by myself because Sarah couldn't handle just like how shitty it got for him. She was like, "I'm out," and so I just finished it on my own.
Well, my Sarah is opting out because she thinks it's paling in comparison to the podcast.
So I should listen to the podcast then.
Whereas I'm pretty invested in it. I think it's kind of a fun character study, but Sarah is kind of well caught up with like every single detail of this case. So, and she thinks that they're like skipping a lot of the drama that actually happened and unfolded. And I think we're only maybe like halfway through the series, so it's hard to say. But I mean, I've been enjoying it, but she has said that it's a very bland representation of what actually happened. Yeah, no, she straight up told me the last episode we watched, she was just like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm pretty disappointed by it. So, I mean, I want to hear, if anybody else has listened to the podcast and watched the show, let's hear your thoughts at Punch Drunk Nerd. And then other than that, I watched one of those Star Wars Visions shorts. The Duel. I haven't watched any of the other ones. It just kind of randomly came up on my feed. I saw it was like 15 minutes, so I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. It was cool. It's told in black and white and set in, kind of almost like a samurai village, that kind of style, but obviously with Star Wars. So it made for it was interesting. It was a very short and very not very like plot driven story, but it was interesting. And sometimes it makes you feel like there are some times where they can do Star Wars right and where they can do Star Wars wrong, and the majority of the time it's wrong. But this was like a little highlight of where there is so much potential for that universe. And I mean, that's really it. I've been continuing with the Ultimates, and I've started a puzzle, which I don't do often. It's basically you
gotta post this on Instagram or something, because we gotta see what we're talking about.
I will post the picture of my progress, but basically I was given a puzzle it's a 500-piece puzzle of Peter Pan poster, the animated Disney movie. And, I feel like puzzles were made to make people go insane. I don't do puzzles a whole lot, but it's like actually maddening. And Sarah started it with me.
It's going crazy on this puzzle.
Yeah, no, actually, and like we started it together. And at first, I was like grouping the pieces to where I could like associate the characters or whatever. And then Sarah was like, "Oh no, you have to do it around the borders and work your way in."
The borders, yeah.
And I was like, "Well, that sounds insane, because if you look at this puzzle, so many pieces look the fucking same. There's no way, unless you just like hold two pieces up at a time and try and put them together." And then 10 minutes into it, she tells me I hate fucking puzzles. I was like, so what the fuck are you criticizing my method for? Which my method so far has been working a-okay. Like, I'm getting somewhere. I'm not getting very far, but I'm, bit by bit. Wow. But Jesus Christ, like, some fucking lunatic decided, I'll take a picture and dice it up into random fucking slots and piece them together. And it really is maddening. I just feel like I'm staring at my table for hours on end, just trying to find the right fucking piece to put with the right fucking corner, and you think it's the right one, and then it's not, and whatever. Puzzles are bullshit. But I'm committed. I'm going to get this one done, and when I do, we're going to crack a bottle of champagne.
You got to frame it.
I told Sarah I was going to frame it, and she said, why would you do that? Just throw it back in the box. I was like, it's 500 fucking pieces.
You got to glue those bad boys together.
You got to, like, I was like, I got to get a frame first. Yeah, I've got to get a frame first before I start the puzzle. And she was like, no, just fucking do it. And I was like, so, all right, well, here we go. She got me all excited for it. And 10 minutes in, she says, I hate fucking puzzles. Wow. Like, what a roller coaster. Anyway, wasted my time. I'm going to finish this puzzle. I'm determined to do it. There we go.
Send us progress.
Point.
Give us progress. Show us pics. Let's get a story of this. I want to see the progress of this puzzle.
Starting tomorrow, we're going to get, like, updates.
Okay.
Well, you've heard it here,
and folks. That's all I got.
You've heard it here first, folks. Puzzles are bullshit.
Ed's doing a puzzle.
All right.
Puzzle.
I have nothing. I haven't done anything. But you know what I did learn today? A website called framed.wtf. It's kind of like Wordle, but for movies.
Yes.
Yeah,
did you see that Edgar Wright tweet?
I don't know, but someone was playing it at work today.
I haven't heard about this, but I'm already intrigued.
Yeah, just go to
Edgar Wright tweeted about it today.
Yeah, because his movie is one of the so it shows you a frame of the movie, and you have to guess what that movie is by the frame. You know what I mean?
Oh, easy.
So Edgar Wright's.
Hey, you say that. You say that. It was hard.
So one of Edgar Wright's movies came out, and if you want to try it out today, framed.wtf. But if you're hearing this tomorrow, who knows what it's going to be, because we recorded this yesterday. On a Wednesday, April 13th. Thank you for listening to Punch Drunk Nerd. Please subscribe. Please like. Please comment. I say these things to get our algorithm up, baby. All right, we're having a party. Okay. No, but seriously, next week, we're going to be back for some more. What are we watching? What are we reviewing? Well, we're going to talk about Moon Knight again. But for our main discussion, we'll let you know. Follow us at Punch Drunk Nerd to get more information on what we're doing, what we're listening to, and what the hell Ed is doing on his puzzle. All right? So I'm going to say goodnight, everybody. Later, Gators.
Later, Gators.
Later, Gators.